Hi, what's up? It's Skippy. Skippy Simon, Trippy Skippy, you know. That guy you like on the internet. Me, that guy. As a burp, as improv, as a callback. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm one of the greatest stand-up comics who ever lived that you never heard of. It's true. I am one of the absolute greatest stand-up comics that ever lived. I will get on any stage at any time and prove it if I have to, as long as I get paid, because I'm tired of not getting paid. I hate the whole whoring aspect of comedy. Speaking of whorehouses, I have in my Hello Kitty bag, Hello Kitty, this bag right here holds probably like, I don't know, 600 plus lineups that I was on at the Comedy Store in the early 2000s. Like, I was kicking ass at the Comedy Store. You know, back in the day, I was owning it. Like, I tell jokes. I make people laugh. How much easier is that? You know? Mitzi Shore in her house, the owner of the Comedy Store, she had a pillow that had written on it, "Dying is easy. Comedy is hard." And I was like, no. Yeah, dying is easy, but comedy is fun. So it's supposed to be, at least for me. All right? That's why when I would go on stage, it would be party time. Mitzi even told the management she thought people drank more when I was on stage because I always had a beer in my hand and I was just the life of the party. You know, I was never one of those, like, if you notice in comedy, there is the angry white male. Angry white male. They're just angry white men. You got who? You got, like, Mark Maron, you got Ari Shaffir, Joe Rogan, Sebastian, Louis C.K., Tom Segura, you know. You got angry white men, and I am not an angry white man. I am a happy person. I just like to go out and have fun. That's what my life's been about, is having a good time. Unfortunately, comedians are the worst coworkers you will ever have in your fucking life. My back is a cutlery block of being stabbed in the back by all your favorite comedians. But whatever. I don't know. I just don't like hanging out with comics. They're just not my people. They're weird. They're like Trump supporters. But I found a bunch of stuff. I in the early days of the Comedy Store, this is from 2002. Like, I don't know if you can see this, but yeah, original 2002. I made that little dude. I used to have a comic book when I was in high school, and I used to make these faces, but this is, it was a potluck with Ari Shaffir, but there I am, Skippy Simon. Who am I on that, MC was Ari Shaffir. I'm there with Steve Renazzisi, Duncan Trussell, Freddie Lockhart, Brad Watson, Steve Simone, Dave Taylor, Rick Ramos, Jason Lucas, David Farrell, Don Richardson, Jim Painter, Kenny Tenney, Jim Price, J.D. Shapiro. We all made it, right? No. But, so I got like, I collected like all these lineups from the Comedy Store that I was on. Like, here's like a showcase. June 17, 2002. You know, it's like MC Skippy Simon. And there's all these people that went up. Oh, Craig Coleman. I love that guy. Craig Coleman's awesome. Jason Lucas. A lot of people. But I had to host that. Mitzi loved my comedy. And I used to hear her laughing a lot at it. And I came to the Comedy Store in 2000. I came in there. I first moved out to California in June of 2000. My friend Carrie Ann, who rocks. What's up, Carrie Ann? She's an amazing artist. She let me sleep on her floor for the first few months when I was out here. And we went, she is buddies with the South Park guys, Trey Parker, Matt Stone. So she got us tickets to go see Kiss. And we dressed up like Kiss. I was wearing Paul Stanley makeup. She is Gene Simmons. And we went to the show. We were in the orchestra pit. We were roughly 30 feet from the freaking stage when those gigantic flame shooter doodad things were going off. We could feel the heat. I turned around one time. I remember I turned around. There was 1 million people behind me. 1 million! Like, it was just an ocean of people. And I was like, wow. This is Kiss, bro. It was real awesome. That was their first farewell tour. How many farewell tours have they had since? Yeah, that was 2000. It's now 2024, and they're still farewelling. All right, see you, Kiss. Yeah, it should be the Kiss My Ass tour. I personally think that Kiss should do this. Okay, this is an idea. I think Kiss should make a Chuck E. Cheese style restaurant with audio animatronic Kiss robots that play all their music and everything and do all the like flying and flame throwing and blood dripping, and they serve, you know, pizza, and there's video games. I think it'd be great because that's technically what Kiss has become. It's become Chuck E. Cheese. It's rock and roll Chuck E. Cheese. It's just I mean, when I saw Kiss Hello Kitty stuff, I was like, yeah, it's just rock and roll Chuck E. Cheese now. Rock and roll Chuck E. Cheeses. Rock and roll Chuck E. Cheeses. Maybe they should make a rock and roll Chuck E. Cheeses. Who knows? But, so I came to Hollywood, and I would camp out at the Laugh Factory, and it took me 2 months to pull my first number from a bucket at the Comedy Store. And I went up, I think 6th, and I killed it. And there was nobody in the room except open micers and the MC was Bobby Lee. And I ain't gonna lie, fucking killed it. Alright? This is before Bobby Lee was on Mad TV or anything. And Bobby came up to me afterwards, and he's like, dude, you did really good tonight. And I was like, oh, okay, good. I got a blessing from Bobby Lee. That's nice. But, lo and behold, I did the same thing I did when I was at when I started at the Funny Bone in Pittsburgh. And I went from being an open micer to hosting the open mic to becoming a feature act and opening for a lot of the major acts that were coming through. So that happened pretty quickly, roughly within like 1.5 years' time. And I said to myself, I was like, well, if I can do this here, let me see what I can do out in California. So I ended up going to Los Angeles and started going to the clubs and started doing the open mics. And I remember there were times when I was doing 10 open mics a week. There's only 7 days in a week, but there were some days where I would just go out and just like double book myself. I wanted to get stage time. I wanted to get better. But It was a long time ago. So I was just hustling, meeting new people, meeting a lot of great people that would, future stab me in the back, but whatever. But I was having fun. And it was a lot of fun. And I was struggling, and it was fun. And I was going to the open mic at the Comedy Store, or trying to. It was on Sundays, and not Mondays. It was on Sundays. And trying to pull numbers, like I said, didn't happen. And then one day I went down and rode my bike to the Comedy Store on a Tuesday night, back when Jay Davis, who is awesome, was doing rock comedy at the Comedy Store. Big rock comedy show. And I roll up on my bike, and my pal John Caparulo was working the door at the Comedy Store. This is the early 2000s. And I go, I hear Skippy. I turn around, John! And I drop my bike, and I run over, and I give him a hug. I'm like, what's up, buddy? He's like, hey, man, you want a job here? And I'm like, yeah! So John Caparulo got me my job at the Comedy Store. I started working on the phones there, and it was a lot of fun working on the phones. I worked there on September 11th, 2001. That was spooky. But I worked the phones at the Comedy Store for many years. That's where I first impressed Mitzi, because I would answer the phone the same way I did when I was in the military, just very cordially. Thank you for calling the world famous Comedy Store. This is Skippy speaking. How may I help you? Oh, who is Skippy? Yeah, hi, who is this? Oh, Mitzi, I own the store. Hi, Mitzi, how are you? I'm good, give me Duncan. Because Duncan Trussell was the talent coordinator at the time. It's funny, because like him and Joe Rogan have been best friends for a long time. While I was working in the phone booth, you could do this thing with the phone where if you pressed mute, you could link in and you could hear their conversations. So I would always, when I was bored, I'd just sit there and eavesdrop on what these dodos were talking about. It was kind of fun. But, so I was working the phones there, and then there was one night, my buddy Aaron Cater was working the door. He's a comedian. And he asked me to watch the door because he was going to go outside and smoke a cigarette. I was watching the door of the main room back, which is in the back of the main room. Unbeknownst to me, Mitzi came in, and I didn't know who the hell she was. She's this little teeny tiny woman with straggly hair who had Parkinson's disease, and she had to be escorted in very slowly. And I'm working the door just in my street clothes. And Mitzi comes in. Who are you? I go, I'm Skippy. Mitzi, I work the phones here. What are you doing on the door? I go, I'm just working here until the door guy gets back from his smoke break. I just decided to help him out. Oh, you're helping him out, huh? And I was like, yeah, Mitzi, I'm helping him out. Well, do me a favor. Go get a door guy shirt. You're a door guy now. So she promoted me on the spot to door guy. And I just went through the ranks there. I was assistant manager. They were trying to make me talent coordinator. I was, going through the ranks at the Comedy Store pretty quickly. And I think it's because Mitzi liked me, and she loved my comedy. She loved my comedy. I hosted the open mic at the Comedy Store for 5 years. It was fun as hell. And plus I got tons of spots. Tons of spots. I'm not a celebrity, but I was getting on every night of the week. It was pretty awesome. And it was great. I got to meet a lot of awesome people. But this is all right, like I said, I got to the Comedy Store. I got to Los Angeles in June. Started working at the Comedy Store in September of 2000. And then, I started rising the ranks. And then this was the first lineup that I was ever on as a paid regular at the Comedy Store. This is Monday, December 30th, 2002. Almost New Year's. Original room. Who's opening the show? Yours truly, Skippy Simon. That's right. And I remember this performance too. Uh-oh. Fire trucks are coming. But I remember this performance too because When I got off stage, I killed it. All right? I went up there and I killed it. I have this little mantra that I say whenever I get on stage. I go into the bathroom, I look in the mirror, and go, I'm Skippy Simon, I fucking rock. And then I just go out and prove it. Just, it's awesome. But I remember I got off stage and, what's it called? I got off stage and one of my heroes in comedy comes up to me. When I was growing up, how I got to start in doing stand-up was Steve Martin, okay, and David Letterman. I was a huge fan of Steve Martin's stand-up growing up. I went as Steve Martin for my 3rd grade Halloween pageant. Had an arrow through the head, had a white suit, I put talcum powder in my hair. I was Steve Martin. And the other influence was David Letterman. David Letterman every night would give me jokes to tell everybody the next day at school. So, in a sense, I was doing comedy karaoke with David Letterman's material, and I was getting laughs with it. So that's how I started learning delivery, presentation, timing. And so thank you, David Letterman. Thank you, Steve Martin. But when I would watch David Letterman, there was this one comedian who used to come on all the time, who was David Letterman's best friend, this guy named Jeff Altman. And Jeff, to me, was dynamite. He was just so lively and entertaining and animated, and I loved he like do all these crazy voices and stuff. You don't know what I'm talking about. But he was one of my favorite people growing up watching comedy. So he ends up right here. After I get off stage, he comes up to me and he goes, Skippy, you're amazing. And I have my arm around him and I just looked at him and I go, I learned it from watching you, Jeff. It felt so good to say that. It felt so good to say, because it's true. To have one of your heroes right there when you're like, accelerating in comedy, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, look at this lineup. Skippy Simon, Argus Hamilton, Ahmed, Fat Baby, which is what Mitzi used to call Joe Diaz back in the day. Fat Baby. Hey, Fat Baby. Joe Diaz. And Joe Rogan, who I will never be on his podcast. Me and him just don't get along. I witnessed him beat up a woman at the Comedy Store. He is a pile of garbage to me. I don't dig that crap. And also, I had to protect my friends who were waitresses from him because he's a scumbag. He tried getting one of my friends fired because of some bullshit. I'll tell that story at some point. He's an asshole. Charles Fleischer, Sean Pulaski, Mike Ricca. The last three, Marilyn Martinez, Brody Stevens, Ralphie May. I love you guys. I miss you guys so much. Marilyn Martinez, she was great. She was this heavyset Mexican comedian. She would just get up there and tell all these perverted jokes, and I loved her so much. Brody Stevens, God, there's not a day that goes by I don't think about Brody. Brody was like just the greatest. You couldn't ask for any better. Just, he was so like imitatable. You got it. He just 818 for life. Like, you couldn't help but imitate Brody. He was just such an enigmatic force. And then, of course, you got Ralphie May. Ralphie. The only thing bigger than Ralphie May was his heart. Ralphie was absolutely one of the sweetest people I ever met in my life. He had this pit bull named Pimp. What's up, Pimp? He'd bring his pit bull, nicest pit bull. He would have barbecues. Ralphie May made the most incredible barbecue sauce I ever ate in my life. I could drink this stuff. It was unreal how delicious it was. That man could cook. Yeah, but this was the first lineup I was ever on at the Comedy Store. Like I said, there's a few hundred more. About 600, I think. But a lot of classic lineups, a lot of like amazing comedians and stuff. And we'll talk about them. But yeah. I'm a great comedian. I just don't hate the clubs. I feel like a whore. You know, especially after all those years at the Comedy Store and just working for nothing. You know, it's just like, like there's a Stockholm syndrome associated with the Comedy Store. Like you're a store guy, you know. Like back in the day, you know, hey, you're a store guy? Oh, wow, that meant something. No, it means you got exploited by the Shore family. Every name on that wall of the Comedy Store is just another person that, you know, made the Shores millions. You know, but I mean, we used to get paid $15 for a spot in the original room. $15. And it was taxed twice because you're an independent contractor. Yeah, I am not a fan of Mitzi Shore. We'll talk about that at some point. But in the meantime, I'm creating content. Yeah, this is Skippy Simon, Trippy Skippy. Like, share, subscribe, and all that good crap. And, wow, this is really bringing out my psoriasis. Ain't that something? All right. I'm out of here. You kids have a great day. We'll talk. All right. Also, stay great. Bye.